Hey, everybody. So, here we are, week 7, starting the second half of our season with a Thursday night game today between the Giants and the Eagles. NFC East, which could be the worst division maybe in the history of the NFL. So bad, but hopefully they'll put on a decent show tonight. So, with 6 weeks in, as I mentioned last week, we have 6 teams that are 4-2 right now. All those would be the 6 playoff teams if the season ended today. There are a couple of teams at 3-3, just on the outside looking in. There are a couple teams, my team being one of them, at 2-4, who are getting to the point of desperation for wins, and 2 teams that are 1-5 who are desperate for wins now. 7-6 sometimes get you into the playoffs. 8-5 usually does, unless you have a low point scored number. So we're getting to the critical point in the season. And if I had to say right now who I think are the odds-on favorites to go deep into the playoffs, I think Fear the Wax is loaded. Unless they have some injuries, they look like a really strong bet to do it. However, this is a very typical pattern for Fear the Wax. They typically are really good in the regular season and then seem to fade late. Last year, I believe they were 10-0, only to fade late in the season and flame out in the playoffs. So, this seems to be fitting the familiar pattern. Other teams that are definitely look like contenders to me, I think Michael's Minions looks like a contender. I think Mask Aversion looks like a contender. I think rolling with Mahomes could be a contender. Mask Aversion, Sleepy Joe. So I think there are a bunch of teams that could, and I'm sure I've left somebody out who's going to be annoyed that I didn't mention them. In my own household, being in third place out of 3 teams, that's kind of humbling. So hopefully things can start turning around. I doubt it. So the 3 picks this week, we want Ivanka 4-2 against Gunning for You 4-2. Big game since both teams obviously 4-2. Gunning for You is the living a charmed life so far, being with a winning record and not many points. And this, Tom Brady's gotten hot for him. Jeff Robinson's been really good. Gunning for You is probably as healthy as they've been all year, so they look stronger now than they have in weeks. As for We Want Ivanka, slow start, but doing their usual thing. As I said, these guys always make the playoffs. Michael Thomas is back this week, which is huge. And I think We Want Ivanka is going to get the win. I think Deshaun Watson has a big game in the game against the Packers, partly because I think Aaron Rodgers, after last week, is going to light up the Texans, and that's going to give Deshaun Watson lots of chances to put points on the board. So I'm going to go with We Want Ivanka in that one by 6. Fear the Wax 4-2 against Mask Aversion 4-2. Another good game between 4-2 teams. These have been arguably the 2 most impressive teams in the league so far. So this is definitely a heavyweight matchup. Neither team has had any real injuries, and as any of us know who have had significant injuries on their teams, that's a huge factor, especially this year when the injuries have been rampant. So when you look at Fear the Wax's team, between Russell Wilson and Derrick Henry, average 56.8 points a game. So just those 2 guys alone are putting over 55 points per game on the board. That's a nice start. And then when you add Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, their average right now for their starters is 110 points, and their projection this week is 99. If one team in the league might be able to beat them, it would be Mask Aversion. They've got, all 3 of their receivers are in the top 10 with DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf. But I think I just have to go with Fear the Wax this week until they show otherwise, or maybe we all get lucky and one of their studs gets hurt. Hate to root for that, but it's fantasy football, not real football. I'm going to go with Fear the Wax by 3. I think Mask Aversion bounces back after last week's debacle, but Fear the Wax, I think, will get it done. And then the 3rd pick is rolling with Mahomes 4-2 against More Than a Thielen 2-4. This is a game where both teams are really hampered by guys who are off. For rolling with Mahomes, she's got no Jonathan Taylor, no Andrews for the Ravens, no Justin Jefferson. By the way, Justin Jefferson, I think I mentioned before, I think he's the number 4 overall receiver. She still has no Nick Chubb, who's on IR. More Than a Thielen gets Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara back after their week off. So I just think this is going to be a good week for More Than a Thielen, and rolling with Mahomes is probably going to struggle to put up points. Go with More Than a Thielen by 9 to get back to 3-4. That's it. Hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll talk with you soon. Ciao.